not that big of a deal. I need to actually grab something really quick. And like after, let's call it 5 or 10 minutes, if there's like nobody, then I'll just, and then maybe we can make another like post and do one like tomorrow or something. You know what I mean?
Only thing about tomorrow is that we got the metal organizers coming in.
Okay.
So if those do come in, I'm gonna have to split and do those.
Okay. Maybe someone else can.
We got 5 people in.
5 people. All right. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Hopefully it doesn't loop again. I think we have a Wi-Fi router and it's probably not working, I'm guessing. So that's probably what's happening. And so we turned Wi-Fi off. Now we're running off that amazing 5G, right? But what I was saying before, I'll just kind of recap really quick, is we're talking about oxidation, how to correct it, but also how to prevent it. And I picked this car because generally cars with oxidized paint or oxidation on plastic and all these other places is on older cars because the clear coat starts to break down or the paint on the car starts to break down. And I picked this car specifically because the paint is oxidized, the headlight is oxidized, and the plastic is oxidized. But I'm mainly going to worry about the paint and the headlight right now. And paint, there's a couple ways to know if the paint's oxidizing. Number one, it looks dull, like it looks chalky. Okay, that's the clear coat or the paint breaking down on the surface. On headlights, they start to turn yellow. Okay, and if you let them go too far, then it actually turns like texturized oxidation. They're not like clear. And we've done headlight restorations before. But what I was kind of saying before is when you have oxidized paint, really what you need to do is correct it with the machine, which I'm going to show you. But like I was saying, I wouldn't necessarily spend a whole day, like 12 hours, fully detailing this car. I would split it in half front to back, split it in half side to side, and just work on 1/4 of the car. One weekend, then maybe I get a free day on a Thursday evening, work on the next quarter, the next quarter, next quarter. So in about 2 or 3, maybe a month's time, then I finish the whole car instead of just like feeling like I have to take on a whole project like that. So the first thing, so I will say this, oxidized paint looks chalky, but also like when you spray it with water, the paint is like really, really flat. And you can almost feel it. It's textured almost like a matte finish, I guess you could say. So for me, like just spraying this with water is like showing me that the paint is like very oxidized and this car desperately needs to be corrected and like corrected and then protected, right? So I'm just gonna check to see, probably everything is very oxidized. So the first thing I would do is, because I'm gonna correct this, I don't necessarily need to do a crazy cleaning, but the first thing I would do to start removing kind of the upmost layer of the oxidation is using a clay bar. So I have a fine grade clay bar here. So I'm gonna spray detail spray on as my lubricant, but I'm just gonna quickly go over this with the clay bar. And what I'll do is go over this with the clay bar and then spray it again. And I'm sure there might be a little bit of water beading because of the detail spray, but what I want to see is if I'm removing just like a little bit of oxidation. But you can actually see, like it doesn't look normal. It's like there's something on top, and that's the oxidation like coming, or whatever is on top, either clear coat or whatever, clear coat or the paint, starting to react to the UV rays and the oxygen in the air. So spray this down again. So you can see it's still pretty flat, but it's like I'm starting to level off and remove any oxidation that's like on the car, right?
See the clay bar too?
Yeah, so there was also clearly something on my car, right? So maybe like tree sap or something. Now, once I do like the clay bar treatment, and actually I'll even quickly do it on the headlight as well, just to take off any bonnet contamination that's on the surface before I start actually going into, I'll go over this one more time actually, just to, it feels a lot more smooth now, which is better. But getting any of the bonnet contamination off is really important. And especially before you start polishing, because if you don't remove any bonnet contamination first, or kind of that initial top layer of the oxidation, it loads your pads up faster and you have to brush them out more. And the more they're loaded up, the less effective the polish and compound is. So for sure doing a clay bar in the beginning is very important. So now that I've done the clay bar, I'll just stretch and fold this. I'm just gonna put this in my pocket. I'm just gonna take a towel and get this dry so I can actually start polishing. And I actually get this question a lot. Can you polish in the direct sunlight? The answer is yes, but what will happen is because you're outside with maybe some wind, the sun, it's gonna dry out your compound and polish a little bit faster. So you really need to have detail spray with you while you're doing that. So I have that side dry, and what I'm going to do is, for some reason, the blue foam pad, I think it's because of the pores of the foam, actually does a great job at grabbing on to the oxidation. And so like in this case, if I'm trying to remove oxidation, which you can see it got even like a little bit more shiny, which is really interesting. But the pores of the foam pad actually like does a great job of grabbing onto the oxidation. And you know, one of the even more interesting things is the foam pad works really good on gel coat, like boats, because they oxidize like crazy because they're outside all the time for the most part. And so when I've polished boats before, I tend to use this pad the most, but you can almost see this layer of oxidation sitting on top. And so what I'm gonna do is do a quick compounding step. And again, running it at setting 4. I talk about this a lot. Running it at setting 4, just taking my time, but I'm mainly gonna focus on doing maybe 2 passes total. But while I go, I'm gonna start here on this portion of the car, and then I'll drop down onto the headlight, and hopefully, which I'm pretty confident, we'll be able to take off this yellowing oxidation of the headlight. So take this on, spread it out. No, Anton, you're already amazing. So check this out. When I started, the pad was perfectly blue. It was a new pad. So you can see the oxidation coming off onto the pad. So it's like white and chalky, right? So that's a really good sign, maybe not a good sign, a really bad sign that your paint's oxidizing like crazy, right? But I don't know if Matthew can show you. I'll wipe this off here. Let me just set this down really quick. I'm gonna wipe this off. Ooh. I'm gonna wipe this off. You can see it's like, it's becoming more shiny. I just have to grab a towel really quick. So I'll wipe this off. And looks really good actually. And it feels really good too. It's like much more smooth. Feel that, Matthew? Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels really good. So I'm getting a lot more clarity versus like I can actually make out the shape of the clouds in this section. But when I look over there where it is way more oxidized, it's not nearly as easy to kind of see what I'm looking at. So, and by the way, if you think, oh, I have a white car, I never need to polish it or anything, 100% you need to polish it. And the thing about it, like even this car, this is a very flat white color, like versus that car, which has a ton of, I don't know, flake in it, I guess. And so like a flat white car, what ends up happening is there's no color to this at all, zero. And I know for a fact, because this is my car, that there are times where I've polished it and like half of the hood looks beige and the other half looks Arctic white. And so white cars maybe hide scratches better, but they also show oxidized color better. So your white car ends up oxidizing to like a yellow almost. And when you polish it, it brings back the glow of that like richness and color of like just flat white to it. And it also gives a reflection to it. Maybe this car doesn't reflect as much as like a black car, right? But this actually makes it look a lot better, right? And so what I'm gonna do really quick, I have to grab one more thing. I just need a pad conditioning brush. Excuse me.
Blowing their ears out.
So this is a very, very important tool when it comes to polishing oxidized cars. Is now you can almost see like the white oxidation is clogging up the pores of the foam. So now when I turn this on and hold this against here, you can actually see like white dust coming off. So having a pad conditioning brush helps remove a lot of it unclogs the pores of the foam pad, but also gets it back to, now we can really like allow those pores to grab onto the oxidation and pull it off, right? So this is a really important tool. So I'll just keep this in my pocket.
Chester Thomas asked, Joe, how do we keep this from happening to our paint?
Hey Chester, how do we keep this happening from our paint? Good to see you, Chester, by the way. It's been a couple weeks. I'm gonna get into that here in a second. I have a little secret weapon in my back pocket, and the secret is you have to rhino line all of your paint. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll show you here in a second. You'll probably end up, that's the secret right there. But what I wanna do first is, let me just show you this really quick. So on the headlight, and look at the pad. I pulled off all the yellow oxidation. If you can see that. So again, abrasion is the thing to remove oxidation. So I'm sure Matthew could show you like from one headlight to another. And just for everyone, these headlights are stock, like they came on the vehicle. And so probably every few years, I end up having to do this process of polishing the headlights. And I use the foam pad, but that takes off the yellow oxidation and provides clarity for the headlight. So, you know, I think a lot of people would say like it's easier to see now, kind of, but like, you know, it's more the textured oxidation that you want to remove to have better visibility. And like on this Lincoln over here, like the top portion of the headlight is starting to oxidize with texture, if you can see, and you can hear it. You know, so the thing about it, like oxidation, discoloring starts from the top and works down because the sun is pointing this way, right? It's pointing, other than in the morning, which generally is like very directional, but like the sun is overhead most of the day. So it's beating down like this, the material of the headlights reacting to the oxygen and the UV rays, and then it oxidizes like this. And that's why your hood oxidizes faster than everything else. And that's why your cowl oxidizes faster than everything else, because the sun points at it all day, every day, right? And we know the UV from the sun is like very dangerous. Like get sunburns and you get melanoma, stuff like that, right? So the UV isn't just damaging to our skin, it's damaging to like all kinds of different things. So
Wendy Drummer asks, do you need to follow up with polish on the headlight?
On the headlight, you know, I think I usually do it just like as a good measure, which I have it over here. I also have another polish that I want to show you guys. But again, I think for me, the thing about like, especially like an older headlight is you can't see like really scratches. Like there polish on this isn't going to create a showroom finish. Like it, you know, you can't see the haziness from the compound on here, if that makes sense. But I think as good measure, because generally when I'm doing oxidation removal, I'm like fully detailing the whole car. I'm going to be using polish anyways. So like I might as well hit it anyways, because it's just, instead of trying to avoid it, I might as well just go over it really quick, if that makes any sense. But to get the oxidation off again, the pad conditioning brush, turn it on, set it on here. I would say too, like another great tool for like to pair with your pad conditioning brush would be like compressed air. If you have compressed air with like a very focused thing, you could like do the pad conditioning brush and then take the compressed air and blow out all the stuff that's still inside of here. But I tend to just, for me, it's just faster to just have this in my pocket and go, you know, so.
Rodney asks, Joe, do you recommend to start with a blue foam rather than a microfiber or roll pad?
Yeah, Rodney, that's a good question. Yes, should you start with the blue foam rather than like microfiber or something else? And yeah, my recommendation is yes. And the reason why I always start with blue foam, no matter what car I'm polishing, even on this is my car, even when I do this, I always start with that, because if you start with the blue foam, it gives you the ability to either go more aggressive or less aggressive. But if you start with a wool pad, then the only place you can go is less aggressive, if that makes sense. And I think the part about it too is that a lot of paint is different. It's some paint's soft, some paint's hard. You just have no idea. So starting with blue foam, like there's times where I polish, for an example, new black GM paint. So like on a Silverado or a GMC Sierra or a Tahoe, black new, like in the last 5 years, black GM paint is like the softest paint ever. So like if I end up just starting with a microfiber pad, I mar the surface so much that I can't fix it with a white pad and white polish. So then I end up having to go to the blue foam anyways. Whereas if I just started with the blue foam, it would correct the paint perfect, and then it would leave a little bit of haziness, and then I could finish it with this, and then I'm only doing 2 steps instead of 3, if that makes sense. But on car like German made cars, for the most part, as a generalization, like Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, that paint is rock hard. So, but again, I don't necessarily know what paint they're using at the manufacturer, right? I'm just assuming. So instead of assuming, I do a test spot starting with the blue foam, and if I go to correct it and it doesn't remove the swirl marks or scratches, then I know it's hard paint. So then I'll bump up to microfiber, and then that will clear up the scratches I'm trying to remove, and then the white foam will finish it off by removing the marring from the pad. So like every car, the paint is different, right? And so that's why I tend to kind of start at blue foam and then like work my way up or down. But for oxidation purposes, in this video, what we're talking about, the foam pad, the pores of the foam actually grab onto the oxidation a little bit better, and it tends to finish it even better. So, you know, like this actually like looks really good already, but I can definitely see like marring. It might be kind of hard for Matthew to show in here, but like if he finds the sun, you can kind of see there's like the motion of the pad, which is the stronger abrasive in the compound, and I can see it. So like now when I switch to the polish with the white foam pad, which this pad was used and not brushed out. So I'm just going to take this really quick and do that. And now I'll put some polish on here, and like Wendy asked, I will go over this section I compounded here with the blue foam, and then I'll just run it over the headlight as well. Just I think it's like, it's such a small area, like it will take me 10 seconds to do, so it's not overly too much of a job. So listen, the only thing I changed, there was 2 things I changed as variables for my polishing. One was the pad, the other one was the polish, but the speed stays the same, and everything I'm doing with like the movement of my body stays the same as well. So still setting 4, pull the trigger, go. And I mean, I think the thing too to think about, like you could even ask Anton on here, like sometimes you can change the speed of your polisher to refine the surface a little bit better. But when it comes to us teaching it to, you know, everyday people that are like doing it in their driveway, trying to reduce the amount of variables that you have to think about or do simplifies it, so you still get amazing results without needing to think about it too much, you know? Like I think for pros, like the root bed system is amazing because there's so many different options and variables you can change to really refine your process to make it super efficient. But it takes a lot of experience and knowledge to be able to understand that, you know? So for us, you know, Adams Polish's main clientele is the guy doing this in his garage or in his driveway. And so we're really trying to simplify it for that person. But I think the cool thing about Adams Polishes is that we sort of dedicated ourselves to providing like super top-notch chemistry. And so even with changing just a couple variables, like what I'm doing right now, you still get like crazy results just from a 2-step system, and you're only changing pads and compounds and polish, right? So I don't necessarily need to brush out my pad now because I wasn't removing oxidation. I was with the compound, but not so much here. So I'm just gonna add just like a little bit of polish back onto the pad.
Anton says, do not get me started with Rupes here in tropical weather.
Really? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Rupes is a great company, you know. You know what? I'm trying to put this on here and I didn't even pop the top. Like, how bad am I? But yeah, I think like different climates, you know, car care reacts different in different climates. And by the way, Anton, in Colorado, car care products work the best because it's dry here. So, you know, we always say that like all of our products work amazing in Colorado. So even sometimes for us, it's like we get feedback from people like in Florida or Philippines, and they're like, yeah, that product didn't work. And it's like, okay, well, probably because it's, 80% humidity and 95 degrees. But I'm just spinning this out really quick, and then I'm going to go out here. I'll be curious if Wendy can tell a difference in me doing polish on the headlight. I think, again, I'd probably do it anyways because it's just so easy to do. And this is one thing I definitely understand about for professional detailers is that efficiency equals dollars, right? So, let's say that you're gonna fully polish a car, right? And normally it takes 12 hours. If you do it in 6 hours, you just doubled your money essentially because you did it twice as fast. So a lot of the strategies with pro detailers is like, how can you cut corners or mix steps to make it more efficient to maximize your, dollar per hour? And so, but also, like, I think for us, when we're talking to the person at home, they don't necessarily want to spend 12 hours on their car. And we totally understand that. So if we can make, prior to the polishing system we have now, it was a 3-step system. And so if we can make it a 2-step system, that eliminates a whole nother time around your car, which makes it faster, which makes it so you can get to the, ceramic coating step quicker, right? So we totally understand all of that.
To go off of that, Wendy asked Joe, why did you decide to do a 2-step as opposed to a 1-step on your ceramic coated 4Runner?
This car probably doesn't have any ceramic coating on it. I've neglected this car for too long. And so, I think for the purposes of this live video of doing oxidation, I just wanted to show you guys like the proper like way you do it. And I will say this too, like the 1-step can get you so far, right? And so for probably the last 5 years, I've been 1-stepping the car and then applying a spray coating. But I'm kind of getting to that point where it needs some extra TLC. So probably here, I probably need to do it like this month because the weather's starting to get hot. And I like doing my like full details when it's like, in the 60s or 70s. And so probably what I'm going to do is I'll do it at home, maybe a combo of doing it here and at home, is I'll probably do a 2-step just to like fully reset it, get it back to like really as much as good as I can get it to look. And then like moving forward from there, if I keep the car for another 5 years, then I'll just every spring and every fall, I'll do the 1-step polish and reapply the graphene ceramic spray coating, So, I think there's like with 1-step, it's like I can only correct so much. So like the more damage I get, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse to then it's time to fully do a reset, do a 2-step on it, and then have a great foundation of like moving forward, if that makes sense, Okay, so now you can see, so I put in the description of the video like how to correct oxidation, which we just talked about, which is polishing. We did the 2-step on it. But how do you prevent from it happening? The way you prevent from it happening is you need to protect the car. Now, in car care and detailing, there's 3 forms of protection. I would almost say there's like 3 main forms and like 1 subform. Okay, number 1, wax. Okay, we all know wax is going to provide a lot of shine because it fixes or it hides imperfections, but wax just doesn't have the longevity, right? So we're talking about maybe a month or a couple months of protection, in which getting after a month, you need to re-wax your car. And the thing that for me about wax that makes it not efficient is I can't put it on everything. So if I fully detailed the car and I remove the oxidation from the plastic, I remove the oxidation from the headlight, I'm all ready to go to protect it. I have to avoid everything except the paint when I'm waxing the car. Now, you get into sealant, which is the second form of protection, right? So maybe your favorite, polymer sealant that you apply, you could apply it with a machine like this, or you could do it by hand. Now you're talking about multiple months of protection. You're talking like 5 to 6 months worth of protection. So you're almost, 5x the longevity of the protection. But still, it's like we're talking months. We're not getting into years yet. But again, with most sealants that are like a cream, like doing like a buttery wax or like come in a cream form like the compound, you still have to avoid your plastic and your glass and everything else, right? So there's even though the sealant also provides a ton of shine, you lose the longevity and the ease of application because you can't like I'm a pretty careless detailer, and that's why I love ceramic, right? But I will say, like, sealants have their place. Like, I think sealants are, a lot of people still use them, and they're very good. I would say, like, a sealant is an extension of a wax. Like, what ended up happening was the car care industry got so popular and business people saw profit there, and they realized that, like, wax didn't provide the longevity that everybody wanted, so they had chemicals engineer something to mimic wax but last longer, and that's why sealants exist, essentially. And then you have people who develop and engineer ceramic coatings, and the ceramic coatings, like, really, when they first hit the market, were really hard to work with, and that's because they weren't adding certain chemistries in to make the flashing take a little bit longer, or also like make it easy, like lubricating agents to help wipe it off. And so now that ceramic coatings have progressed to where they are today, it's a lot easier to do. And I think with ceramic coating, the benefits outweigh everything else because, number one, they have the most longevity. So even in a spray coating form, you're talking about year or years of protection, right? So you 12x the longevity of a wax, right? And maybe double the longevity of a sealant. But you also can apply it to everything. And that's what I love about it, is that, especially in the spray form, is I can protect all of my paint, my headlights, my chrome, my plastic, my glass, mainly like your side glass. And I can even spray it into the fender wells on my all-weather floor mats. I can spray it into the suspension parts. So it just opened the door to so many different things. And so that's personally why, like, for me, applying a spray coating is very, very important. And it's way more resistant to the UV from the sun and prevents oxidation, like, exponentially longer than anything else. So spray coating, let me find where the sprayer is, down here. So watch this, I'm gonna show you a little hack when it comes to spray coating. And by the way, this is the original way of how we applied it. But we'll take a towel, okay, fold it twice, and I'm just gonna spray this on here. Like that, okay? And then I take this is my applicator. Take this, and I just wipe it on the surface. So for anybody watching here, like Anton, Wendy, I don't know if Chester does any detailing for money for like his neighbors or anybody, but if you want a like a larger applicator and a lot faster way to apply the graphene ceramic spray coating, you can just spray it into a towel like this. Okay, and I always, like, when I'm done applying like a section, I will set this with like where I'm spraying the ceramic coating on top. So I just always know how I'm wiping it on. Then I have the second towel. I always have a set, either it's a borderless gray. This is the same towel I used for removing the polish. So I'm just gonna fold it. This side was the side I was using to remove the polish and everything. I'm just gonna flip it over to like this. So now I have a fresh side of the towel. And I can kind of see the rainbowing, but there's a little bit of a breeze. I can definitely see the rainbowing. Oh man, a little spider got on here. I feel bad for him. He can't even crawl up because the ceramic coating's so slick. Here, I'll help him out. There you go, buddy. But I'm just kind of watching, trying to find it's going to be impossible to see on camera. I can barely see the rainbowing on here, but I can really see it right here. So I'm just going to wait till that color goes to where I can't see it anymore. And then I'm going to take the towel and just wipe it off. It's kind of gone over here already. It's going faster today because I'm in the direct sunlight. It's warmer today. It's like 75 here. And the breeze is helping the solvent flash off faster. So when you apply the spray coating or any ceramic coating outside, it tends to cure faster before you wipe it off. And now that I look up here, I can see almost like the sweat beads. That's like my Joe, the detailer at Adams Polish's indicator of when to wipe off a ceramic coating. That's like optimal time. So I'll just take the towel and do long, fast swipes like so. Yep, and the headlight. Like that. Okay, so now we've corrected the oxidation and now we have protected my finish, but in preventing the oxidation from happening as fast as it maybe did before. So yeah, that's amazing. I'm into that, dude. I like that. I'm definitely into that. I might have to show you guys next week. It's hard to see right now, but on one of the live videos, I was talking about the spray coating and I applied it right here. This was like last year. It's probably 16 months ago. I applied it like right here. No, it was probably about a year ago. It was like in the springtime. I never wiped it off. I forgot. So I have this like spot right here that you can see where the ceramic coating is. And it was the spray coating advance, and never wiped it off. Didn't even try. And so maybe next week I'll show you like how to fix that, if you guys are into that.
Wendy
But
said, looks great, gotta run. Thank you all.
bye, Wendy. But if you guys want, I don't recommend doing this. You want to wait like at least, I'd probably say wait at least like 8 hours before you put water on the ceramic coating, but because it's my car and I know I can like fix it, you can see the difference of oxidized paint over there, which is crazy, crazy flat, and corrected and protected.
Do one more time over the top.
And listen, here's the thing about it, okay? I could easily have just put ceramic coating on the oxidation, right? But it still wouldn't perform like this because there's so many pores in the oxidation that gives water a place to go. So like part of this too is like the polishing part is I'm leveling off the ceramic coating to leave like a perfectly flat finish. And when the ceramic coating goes on top, now I have a perfectly flat finish that is also has a ceramic coating, which is hydrophobic and can take it off. But again, like the oxidation part is like compound and polishing it restores the look of the paint. It adds the richness and color and the shine back. And then the ceramic coating protects it from that stuff happening again. So oxidation, I can't remember who reached out to me and asked me to touch on this topic, but you know, if your car is oxidized, you really, really need to polish it. That's kind of like the only way to fix it, you know. So
Rodney asked, yes, please. I have areas like that also that didn't get wiped from months ago.
okay, yeah, I could do that next week then. Maybe I think I've done it before, but what I can do is I'll do a quick run through on like we have a video on YouTube called "Oh no, I screwed up my ceramic coating," meaning like, you know, I forgot to wipe it off or I have like high spots everywhere. And that video, we released it at a time when there's still like a fear about ceramic coatings because I think everyone felt like they were gonna mess it up. And really, like back then, the difference between detailers and Adams Polishes and then the people at home was they didn't know the hacks of like how to fix it or go through that process. And so we essentially released a video explaining how to do that, and it was like it's one of our best performing videos. But I will essentially do a similar thing next week, so you guys can you guys know the answers to that quiz as well. So
Chandler Johnson said, I want to correct the paint and coat on my new black truck, but I'm scared to do more damage than good, being that I have no experience with a polisher.
who said that?
Chandler Johnson.
Chandler Johnson. Well, Chandler, here's the good news is there's been millions of people in your position before, and they've all gotten great results. So, you know, I think that your hesitation is like valid and your concern is valid, you know, but you know, just so you know, like Adams Polishes exists because people like you are looking to make their car look better. So, you know, I think the cool thing for you, Chandler, is that we have Adams Polishes YouTube is an amazing resource on how to learn how to do everything. And it's really dedicated to help people like you, like ease your anxiety about causing more damage on your car. And I'll just say this, like all the stuff that we offer is designed to reduce damage of you adding damage to your car. It's all designed to get great results. And so, you know, what I would tell you, Chandler, I don't know if you can like type this in some notes or like write it down really quick, but polishing 101, that would be a great place to start when it comes to polishing your car. It's Adam, the founder of Adams Polishes, taking you step by step through how to correct finish. But the really cool thing about that video is it talks about a new car that I think has 19 miles on it. It talks about a car that is hammered that has probably 100 and something thousand miles on it. And then also talks about a vintage car that has single stage paint and original patina paint. And so he really touches on all three of those. And that's a really, really good place to start. And then going from that, I would jump to the next one. I'd find the one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like how to apply a graphene ceramic coating. And essentially, if you're looking through those, it's one specifically where it's me in the video, and I'm fully ceramic coating a BMW, like a drop top BMW, convertible BMW. And the one thing about that video that I think is really cool is that not only do I show you how to ceramic coat the paint, but I also show you how to do the graphene ceramic glass coating on the windshield. And then I also show you how to do the graphene ceramic spray coating on the soft top. Not to say that you have that, but it's like covers kind of everything. And then later in the video, I talk about how to fix high spots, or maybe you forgot to wipe it off an area. I talk about how to do that as well. So if those are the two things you're trying to figure out, those two videos are probably your best resource. And if anything, you could watch them first, see if it's like inspiring and and you're like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And by the way, if you watch those videos and you feel inspired to do it or compelled to do it, then when you get your stuff, you can just follow along with those videos and you're for sure going to get the results that you're looking for. Not even a question. I have a quick story, okay? I was at Barrett-Jackson in Scottsdale this last January, and this kid walked up with his dad. I think he was 15 years old, and his name's Eli. I've been texting with him recently because I gave him my phone number. But he walked up, and at our show booth, we have like a rear deck lid that we like paint, put like 20 coats of clear coat on because we do demos on it. And this kid Eli was like, I want to know how to do it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk you through it. And it's essentially all the information that's in the Polishing 101 video. And I walked him through it, and then I allowed him to try it on our display thing, like our demo panel. And he did it perfect. He listened very well, and then he tried it, and he did it perfect. I tweaked a couple things that he was doing. And on the spot, his dad ordered, because they live in, they live in South Dakota. His dad ordered the polishing kit, the graphene ceramic coating kit, and like a couple other things. And he just texted me recently. He's like, hey, thank you for showing me how to do this stuff. I've been like loving doing this. And he sent me like pictures of 4 different cars that were like dead perfect, showroom ready, award-winning finishes. And I think for him, you know, just the sheer fact of him trying it and going through the experience of doing it, it's like he got over the fear real quick of damaging his car. So like, I guess my message is like, if Eli can do it, I think anybody can do it, because he'd never even thought about how it worked before, you know? So, and by the way, those are my favorite stories. I am that guy. Like, I never cleaned my car. I had an old crappy Honda Accord before this. I never cleaned it, ever. And then when I started working at Adams Polishes, I had a different car, but this was actually my wife's car. And one day I just tried. I was editing all the videos because that was my job back in the day. And I just went out and tried. I cleaned one wheel of how Adam talked about it in the videos. And I was like, huh, it looks brand new. So then I did all the rest of the wheels, and then my rest of my car looked crappy. So I ended up washing the rest of the car, 2-bucket wash, all this stuff. And then I remember Adam's like, well, if you wash the car, you need to clay it. So then I did the clay bar treatment on everything. And then he's like, if you clay it, then you got to protect it. So then back then there was no ceramic coating. So I applied a paint sealant to everything. And I took it home. My wife came out the next morning. She thought that I traded in her car and replaced it with the same thing because it looked brand new. And so, you know, I know, like, I'm confident for Chester that, like, I know he can do it because I was that guy once. There's been many people that are like that. And Chester, if you want, you can email me, joe@adamspolishes.com, and I'll send you some videos and just like a quick explanation of like, these are great places to start if you're looking to do it. But black paint, not any different than white paint, same thing. And correcting it might seem a little bit more difficult, but it's not. That getting the machine and doing it yourself is way easier. And by the way, it's way cheaper than hiring a detailer. No offense to all the detailers watching, but doing it yourself is like really cool. And on Facebook, if you join our Adams Polishes community page, there's a lot of people that have been in Chester's place before that if you have questions, you can ask, and it's just like a bunch of people that will give you advice or whatever you need. So
Who's Chandler?
Chandler, not Chester. Chester Thomas is on here every week. Sorry, Chandler. Got mixed up. But
Chester says he's also worried about doing the same, but it goes for both of them.
doing what?
Doing the same, like worried about polishing.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing, you guys should be worried, but you really shouldn't, because I know for sure you guys can do it. It's super easy. You can ask everyone watching this started at a certain place or are starting at a certain place. So, but there you go. I hope that was helpful as far as like addressing oxidation. But next week I'll talk about, you know, if you feel like you're going to screw up a ceramic coating or you have, how to fix it, because I definitely screwed mine up. And again, I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm not scared because I know that I can fix it. And that's the thing about most car care. Unless you use a rotary buffer and you rotary buff through the paint completely. But here's the thing, you could still have someone paint it for you, right? So like, but I'm saying like when we're doing stuff like ceramic coating, if you feel like you mess it up, you can always fix it, you know? So it's not anything you necessarily need to be like scared about. And then like the machine polishers that we offer, they're random orbital. They're not forced rotation. So they're more doing like buffing motions, but they're designed to be less aggressive and less damaging to your paint and more letting the compound and polish do the work rather than feeling like you need to use a power tool to like grind through something. So, so yeah, thank you guys for watching. And next week, Wednesday, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, I'll see you guys then. And
Can we do one more question?
yeah, one more question.
Purcell asked, do impurities get embedded in gel coat too?
Do impurities get embedded in gel coat too? I would say like, I wouldn't say so much embedded when it comes to gel coat. And this is why I'm answering it like this, is because like a boat is like out on the water, but it's not near like traffic or semi trucks or trains, right? So like out on the water, you will get like more minerals and organic compound like stuck to the surface from being in the water that has all that in it, right? But when I think of embedded, I think more of like iron contamination, because that actually like goes into the paint and embeds it itself instead of sitting on top. So like a boat gel coat isn't going to necessarily have things that are like inside the paint, but it's more sitting on top. And I would call it like bonded contamination. So like organic compounds or like minerals, like water spots, is pretty common with boats. But like oxidation, I would say, is the number one problem with gel coat, because it oxidizes faster than automotive paint. And so the thing about oxidation too is because it's porous, it allows more stuff to grab onto it, right? Onto the oxidation. So like doing a correction on it is pretty important. But I would also say, like, listen, boats are a lot larger than a car for the most part, but like they're pretty easy to correct because they don't have all the intricacies that a car has, right? So like when I polished my buddy's car, it took us about a day and a half to fully polish it, just because it's, from bow to stern, it's like a pretty big surface, right? But we made sure to ceramic coat it so the oxidation doesn't happen as fast and it's easier to clean the next time. And for him, what I did is I gave him a gallon of Adams Polished CS3, which is like it cleans, it shines, and it protects. So it's like if you mix waterless wash, detail spray, and graphene boost all together into one product, every time because he has to pull his boat out of the water after every time he takes it out. It's one of those like reservoirs or lakes. And so every time he takes it out, when it's sitting on his trailer, and if I go with him, which they invite us sometimes, so it means that they actually kind of like us, but I'll help him, and we go and spray and wipe down with CS3 his whole boat, because he has a ceramic on there, so the CS3 is supporting the ceramic that's on there. So that's it. Another tip, like if you have a boat, like having something like CS3 or like a ceramic waterless wash type of product that's has silica in it but also has a cleaning agent with it, super helpful for a gel coat boat. So
Anton says, so Joe, what about my shirts?
you know what, Anton? Anton, I've been busy. I'm sorry, man. I need to do that.
Chevrolet.
Yeah, I was in Detroit last week from Tuesday through Friday, so did some cool stuff. That we were working with Chevrolet Performance, which is like, if you've never checked out their Instagram, it's really cool. They're just more dedicated to like the performance side of General Motors, and so you get a lot of like, vintage classic cars, you get a lot of Corvettes, you get more off-road performance. And so they actually had a brand, it was a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado, but it was a ZR2, so it had a Duramax diesel in it. And they took that thing through like the mud and back roads of Michigan, and I mean the whole bottom half, it was a blue truck, the whole bottom half was like completely brown, like light brown, because they got it so dirty. So it was quite the task to clean it. But we talked in that video, we talked about how to clean it, how to use the clay mitt while washing, and then like even getting into protecting it, talking about the all-weather floor mats. So it turned out pretty cool. So I'm excited to get that content out there, but it's a cool page. But yeah, I've been, we just released some new essentials kits. The Adams Polishes Essentials kit has been like our staple kit for like new people to our brand, and it was like set right at $200. And so what we did is we revised it, and we have 4 options of the Essentials kit now. One being the complete kit, the next one being the basic kit, the next one being the starter kit, and then the last one being the refill kit. And they're just kind of like different price points, but like offer different things. And so we've been doing a lot of like, I created a how-to video on like, hey, if you get the complete kit, this is how you make your whole car look great. And I fully cleaned, it was like my buddy's truck. He was so fired. He was like, this looks better than when I picked it up at the dealership. So he's like, I owe you some golf now. So hopefully we'll line that up pretty soon. But the Essentials kit's really cool. Comes with 6 different products, and each one of the products does like multiple things. Like maybe aside from like car shampoo, but like it has CS3 in there to add like a little bit of protection, but just like a good wipe down. Has VRT to do like your tires and your trim and everything. So it's a really cool kit. So I've been really busy like working on all that. That's what I'm about to go up there and try to finish the how-to video right now. So if anything, you can check that out on YouTube once I release it. But I need to do some work for Anton, so I apologize. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys next week. Same time, same place. Maybe not. Might be somewhere else. But same time, 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. And I hope to see you guys there. So